Hello, good morning. Well, it's good morning for me.
Good afternoon.
How
How are
you
you?
doing, sis?
Gr-
Can I believe we're here?
I cannot believe it. I'm so excited.
I am too. This has been a long time coming.
Indeed, it has.
I
I'm
think
sure.
we planned this like maybe a month ago or
Yes,
something. It's,
yes.
it's definitely been a while. But but good morning and welcome everyone. Um,
Great, everyone.
we're gonna check our settings real quick on Facebook just to make sure that we're good because we want all of our Facebook audience and family to be able to see us. And welcome from YouTube. Yeah, when I was thinking about tonight, of course I'm in the USA. I'm in Alabama and it is 7 a.m. Um, this morning, and I was telling Tamiris that I, I I was just so anxious about today. I could barely sleep, and I had to give her just a few more minutes before we went to talk about what we were going to do today. And I tell you, I'm just excited. I feel like it's Christmas morning or something.
I hear you. I resonate deeply.
And what time is it there?
It is 2 p.m. this side, 4 minutes past 2.
Oh
And
wow!
I'm based in South Africa.
And
Grand day,
so
everyone, in the beautiful city of Cape Town.
wonderful, wonderful. It's just a pleasure just to be with you all today. And but my name is Tiffany Newton. I'm a master certified health and life coach, and I help co-parents establish and maintain healthy relationships with one another, so they can um, establish and maintain healthy relationships, emotionally healthy relationships with their children as well. And I do that through my child first method. And by doing that, we can actually eliminate or minimize long term communication issues. So that's my focus as a life coach. Tamiris, you want to tell everybody or my audience, what it is that you focus on?
Absolutely. And thank you, firstly, Tiffany, for having me here. And grand day to everyone. And to those of you who may not know me, I'm Tamiris, and I'm a self discovery and creative expression igniter. And I help individuals explore themselves, finding themselves, particularly after having navigated changes in their lives. And one of those critical changes for me was an existential crisis, which was accompanied by relentless questions of my purpose, my meaning in life. And my mission is to enlighten people in finding their true selves, but also finding fulfillment amidst all the crisis that we can encounter in life. And with that being said, I absolutely love your mission, Tiffany, because one of the main foundations of our societies is making sure that we build children that are healthy spiritually, that are healthy emotionally, physically, mentally. And this very much starts with having mentors and guides such as yourself, such as myself. And so I am very sure that this is going to be a very enlightening journey. Thank you for having me once again.
Yes, yes. Thank you for being with me as well. And I mean, I love your platform as well, and because it really complements mine so well. And you've really helped me to really focus on the individual, in the discovery area, throughout divorce, and how much that really impacts the child and impacts the family overall. So I just definitely want to acknowledge you publicly and thank you for that, because it's really, and I know it was God, because it really helped me to kind of look at things in a different light. So I'm sure my audience will see a little shift. I'm still talking about co-parenting, but we'll be digging a little bit more into to some of the things that we need to do for ourselves. So hence this live and us going into discovery and so I tell you, when we were talking about this, um, what were some of the things that really stood out to you when I was telling you about my personal journey from divorce to discovery of where I am now, because I did go through a transition.
Yeah.
I went through the anger, the bitterness, the fear, the
Hmm.
sadness. I had so many different emotions from my
Yeah.
divorce.
Hmm.
So the fact that I was able to get to this point, if you kind of share with me, because I know you can do it
Yeah.
better than I can. What is it that I went through in order to get to myself? And what you would encourage your, people that are in my position or that was in my position to get to that place of discovery.
Yeah, I think first of all, it's important that for to sometimes just acknowledge that facing uncertainty and changes is really just part of the human experience. Um, and we often tend to beat ourselves when we're going through these feelings that we have been taught to suppress, such as the fear, the anger, the grief that you may have felt, the confusion. But these are moments that sometimes signal to us that we're actually very healthy people.
Mm,
The unhealth comes when we unleash those same emotions to other
mhm,
people. But the
mm,
health comes when we know how to convert that pain, how to convert those emotions, and make it be a catalyst for growth, for love, for
mm,
awareness, which is what I believe. And just hearing your story is what you went through. And
mhm.
in that awareness, not only did you become aware of yourself, but you also went through a stage of inner child. You visited your inner
Yes,
child by
yes,
acknowledging the people and the figures that you had in your life that actually paved foundation for you for a healthy life. Um, you mentioned quite a few
yes,
times the importance of our father figures, and I believe you mentioned that being a female, but that is equally important for males, and acknowledging the importance of their mothers, but not just the importance of their mothers, of their fathers as well. And this is the foundation, both the feminine and the masculine. This is where we can all merge to really create societies that are healthy. So for me, your journey and just hearing a lot of what you went through, I think the inner child visitation was probably the beginning of that awakening that you experienced.
yeah,
And when we can walk with our inner child, this is the beginning of actually reclaiming our power, reclaiming our identity. It is in our inner child that we have the moments of hope. Have you ever
mm,
been through situations where, now as an adult and being consumed with so many responsibilities and disappointments, you get to a moment of realizing what happened to that positive naivety that I once had, the love that I once wanted,
yes,
the healthy love. What happened to the dreams? What happened to that
yeah,
limitless potential that I believe that I had, and all of a sudden went away for various reasons, including societal expectations and just what we hear from societies. So, from hearing you and just understanding your journey, the inner child opened the way to for you to realize a lot of the things that were probably lost, and you just had to bring them back. And this is a very critical part of the self discovery. Would you say that these are
yeah.
some of the things that
Woo,
did you consciously think about your inner child, and this is the person that you're actually walking with at that time of your healing?
yes, in so many ways. In the beginning, I did not, but I started during that time of my after my divorce. I started going through coach mastery, And it really delved real deep into childhood wounds and things like that. So, and then of course me attending therapy. So between me learning about those things and me going through therapy, it did prompt it in my mind to start dealing with that myself. And I just love what God does, because he puts us in situations, or uses situations and opportunities that we're in. And if we're really aware of what's going on, those things can really be a catalyst for us, for our healing and for our growth. And so, as I think about during that discovery time, that was really a time of healing as well. So, it did allow me to go back to my childhood, because when you're divorced, or when you experience a divorce, you do feel lost.
Yeah.
You feel, and I know it's the human part of us, because we're experiencing all of these emotions. And I'm glad you said that it just proves that we're healthy, but it's all in how we respond to those emotions. And I think sometimes we feel a certain way when we are experiencing certain emotions, and it kind of gives us some type of guilt, in so many ways, because we're experiencing something that we've never experienced before.
Yeah.
And so it does take that awareness and that acknowledgement. And I really believe it takes someone outside of ourselves to really show us, and us to be aware of everything. So even in this process, even you, almost 4 years later, I'm still on this healing journey,
Yeah.
and how God used you to really show me some things in my divorce that I needed to bring out, that I needed to address, where I can actually minister to other people that I know are dealing with the same thing.
Yeah. 100%. I think the loss of identity, especially after having been literally merged soulfully with somebody, um, becomes one of the main consequences post divorce. Um, it really comes down to understanding our essence as people, which is we
Mhm.
are souls, we are energy. Um, and through the intimacy that goes into marriage, and
Mhm.
this is not just physical intimacy, but it's also emotional intimacy.
Yeah.
Um, it's the mental intimacy, the things and the conversations, the deep and soulful conversations that are often shared between partners, especially when there's openness, vulnerability, respect, understanding. To completely diverge from that,
Yes.
especially after being merged and deeply merged for years, often does come with this loss of identity. We lose ourselves. We try to gain ourselves without not knowing exactly how to do that, because technically we are intact. We see ourselves. I'm here. By why am
Yeah.
I feeling this sense of, why am I feeling this emptiness? And we
Yeah. And
don't.
then there's no playbook.
Sorry.
There's no playbook.
There's no playbook. Exactly. Exactly. But I absolutely love what you said, that sometimes it takes someone else to remind us and to help us. And I think one of the critical and pivot and main people or entity that really helps us in this journey, and for me, it might not have been specifically in divorce, but during this existential crisis, it was God. As a matter of fact, it was through the spiritual awakening that just allowing God to speak to us, that God can direct us towards
Mhm.
the concept of self awareness. What does it really mean? I don't want you to have a
Yes.
book. I want you to tap into yourself. I want you to
Yeah.
recognize yourself, your identity in me. We often see that, we often hear that, but what does it really mean? I mean, we often preach about that, but what does it really mean to find our identity in God? How do we
Yeah.
operate in that? How do we build an emotional intimacy with God? And I believe that that is one of the primary foundations for us to regain our identity. And through God,
Yeah.
he then shows us, he reminds us of the people that he put in our lives, to remember also what he has created, which is the gift of family. And hence come our parents,
Yes.
and hence also the commandments. And that's what I also really love about what you said earlier, that sometimes we have people that are there to remind us. And one of those people for you, which you have made also very clear before, was your father. So the loss of identity is really
Yes.
something that I think once we know about it, once we can expect somewhat about it, then we don't become too clueless. As much as it can hurt,
Yes.
as much as we can still be confused, as much as you can still be in doubt, but we won't go into despair. Because situations like
Yes.
this and navigating big life changes such as divorce can lead to very extremes of pain. Can lead to
Yes.
depression, can lead to suicide to others. It can completely diminish and destroy people's dreams and just hope for love and living again.
Yes.
So I think once we understand that the loss of identity, or what even some may call an existential crisis, sorry,
Mhm.
an identity crisis, um, being an outcome of these big life changes, then it also helps us to know how we can overcome that, or the strategies and the tools that we can implement in order to overcome that. And also just being compassionate with ourselves, not beat ourselves too
Yes.
much. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I definitely love that because it really reminds me that we have everything within us. You know, that God has given us everything that we need within us in order to heal from, to overcome whatever challenge that we face. I mean, I always say this is probably my favorite scripture, and my favorite thing that I say when I'm going through things that I have no answers to. I say, God sees ahead and he provides.
Yeah.
And and to always keep that in mind, I'm telling myself, because I tell myself, God sees ahead and provides, God sees ahead and provides. And that lets me know, okay, I need to look for what is it that I already have? What is it that's in me that I need to use in this moment? You know,
Mm.
despite whatever pain I'm going through,
Yeah.
despite whatever obstacles, whatever challenges. And I love it that you said, you know, how you were able to seek God, you know, in your crisis.
Yeah.
And it's a quote. I have you know, all these sticky notes around my office, but I have this quote that says, "Be quiet enough to hear God's voice so that you can find your own."
Mm.
And that's exactly what I did during this discovery process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's something that you did. You know,
Yeah.
we were quiet enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we allowed even though life continues
Yeah.
around us, we can be still
Yeah.
and we can allow God to speak to us. And it's so important for us to do that because
Exactly.
we don't, we won't be able to find our own voice. We won't be
Mm-hmm.
able to find our own direction and
Yeah.
where we need to go. And when we do that, we will dispel whatever feelings of fear, anxiety, depression, because we are in a place where we're moving forward,
Exactly.
because we're allowing God to heal those spaces. And it doesn't happen overnight.
It does not happen overnight. I think the first step really requires just really being willing to unlearn to learn. And as easy as
Yes,
it may sound, that requires a lot of intentionality, requires a lot of mental effort, and just really submitting to the moment.
yes,
Is as
yes,
powerful as that is, and as much as we know how powerful that can be, it's much easier said than done. And
yes,
I think that the beauty of self-discovery is really that, is just being mindful and honoring the bigness our true essence, the bigness that we are, and reconnecting with our interests, reconnecting with our dreams, and reconnecting with our unique talents. Um,
Yeah.
this is where the creative expression also came in for me in this self discovery journey,
Mhm.
in remembering the gift that we're given as co-creators with God.
Mhm.
Um, what does it mean to be co-creators? What do we create? Um, and it takes really disrupting ourselves. It takes disrupting ourselves, what we know ourselves to be. It takes
Mhm.
disrupting our routines and embracing a lot more of the curiosity and those what if questions, which is something that I've mentioned about before in one of my videos. Um, Once we really put ourselves and we're so committed to just acknowledging that I don't know anything, I'm willing
Yes.
to learn everything completely.
Yes.
This is when our intimacy with God really begins. And He
Mm.
takes us by the hand and He really shows us, reflect, go
Mm.
back to your inner child. Remember how you were. Remember how everything was founded for you. Was there
Yes.
anything that was lost? Is there anything that you forgot and you didn't bring along with you in your adulthood?
Mhm.
Reflect on your lessons as well. Take time to reflect on the lessons that we encountered in
Mhm.
that moment where we're going through uncertainty. And for me being essential crisis, and for you being divorce, what did we learn from that? But intentionally, and
Yeah.
this is not just from the top of our minds. It can start like that, and we shouldn't force ourselves to straightly go into a space of journaling if that's not where we used to.
Mhm.
um, but really just embracing reflection and introspection,
Yeah.
really understanding what are the lessons that we learned, really understanding how can I make myself better and compare myself to the person that I was yesterday to the person that we are today, and who do I want to become. But
Yeah.
also not rush ourselves, because in a world where, with instant gratification is honored, we
Right.
often tend to really want to rush the process. And I
Mhm.
think this is, when we look at it physically, somebody rushing eventually trips. But I believe
Mhm.
that spiritually, the same thing happens. We rush so much the process that we end up missing some of the things that we're supposed to take in the process, some of the gifts that were already being handed to us, but we were so rushed that we couldn't even take the time to look on the side and realize that this is something that's supposed to come along with me. So in this self-discovery journey, we go back to the beginning of our journey while intentionally and mindfully growing and setting our dreams and our visions in a way that we can be true to those visions. And by being true to those visions, being true to those dreams, we are also being true to ourselves, which then eliminates the
Yeah.
loss of identity that we can experience when we go through these phases of existential crisis, of uncertainty, of doubt, of life changes or divorce, for example, or post breakups. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. I love that because when you were talking, it really helped me to think about some of the things that I tell my clients when we're going back into their childhood to look at some things and how we should look
Yeah.
at them in a way of being curious, as a way of, okay, I am an adult right now, but I am going to
Mhm.
visit my childhood, whatever age that was when we realized that this root might have begun. It might be the 5-year-old Tiffany.
Yeah.
So you're able to stand on the outside of what's going on with your child self and look
Mhm.
objectively. And then you're also in a place of evolvement as an adult, but then you're also in a place where you can advise and heal because you're not associated with that person.
Yeah.
And you can also um, accept what happened at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and you can grow from that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think when we talk about identity, that is part of our identity. That's part
Yeah.
of what makes us, that what made us today.
Yeah.
Because as you were talking, I was thinking about, what is it, or who would I have been if I had not gone through my divorce, if I had not been in that position to just stop
Yeah.
and to seek God as to, who am I, where am I going? I would not be here. I know I would not be here, and I know God uses, crisis. He uses things because he sees ahead and he provides.
Yeah.
I believe God is on the outside of time looking at us, and he has prepared everything from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so he knows exactly everything that we're going to go through. And so he has made a way for us. And so if we embrace that time and not just sulk in those moments of challenges, those moments of trauma, but we can heal through. We can heal through those things, and I think that's probably the most important thing that I want people to get from this. That it is hope. It is light at the end of the tunnel. You're looking at two women who have experienced life and things in life that were painful,
Yeah.
that were uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but we have moved from that to a
Mm-hmm.
place where we have, discovered things. We have renewed our purpose in God, and our identity. And in so many ways, it's fun.
Yeah.
After I really thought about it, after going through some things, I was like, what? This is kind of fun, being able to reinvent myself, to be able to find myself again, to try things out that I've never tried before,
Yeah.
to discover, okay, what is it that I like? What is it that Tiffany wants, to do outside of a husband, outside of
Yeah.
being a mom, even though I'm still a mom. But what is it that Tiffany, so taking out that time to just care for yourself, not only physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of those things, but just taking out that time to do that.
Yeah. And and have you noticed any change in even the energy that you give back to your children as well after really investing in yourself, after
Oh yeah.
going back to what you really love and what you really desire to do, your aspirations, your values? Have you noticed that change amongst your children and even the people around you?
Oh yeah. I mean, they know that I'm happier. They
Yeah.
see that I'm happier. And it is funny because a lot of times when people tell you, you seem like you're glowing, you seem like you're happy, you don't know what's going on. You're doing the work on the inside, but for
Exactly.
people to acknowledge it, and they know, okay, something is going on. What is it that you're doing? But it is, God working in me,
Exactly.
that is able to illuminate on the outside of me. And I think it's also an example for my kids too, for them to see, okay, mom has gone through this thing. I saw the pain that she went through. I saw the adjustments, that the emotional things that she was going through. Even though I wasn't telling them, okay, this is, but they knew that it was a divorce, because they were in the midst of it too. But the fact that I was able to move from that to where I am today, and in turn, I think I was able to really help them to know how they can move through it as well, you know. And I think that's important for us as parents to lead
100%.
that way,
They come
because
to
our kids are looking at us.
exactly. Exactly. I think really embracing change is probably one of the biggest catalysts of personal growth. It's really there that we find the opportunity to reevaluate who we are, what truly matters to us. It's that chance to really reinvent ourselves, we discover our passions, our values, our aspirations. And I think that, as you said, it also empowers them to do it. It also
Yeah.
empowers them to learn that, okay, as much as what I want is love, as much as what I want is family, but I should strive to create a family that is healthy, that every individual involved is feeling healthy emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And I think this is why perhaps we see so many of us staying in relationships that are not serving our highest goods, or rather settling for mediocre relationships. But
Yeah.
relationships are soulful. Love is soulful. Relationships and the essence of relationships are spiritual.
Yeah.
And the very best version of relationships that we can have is God's version. It's really
Yes.
a reflection of God's version, where we know that we understand who we are to the depth and to our very own core. So, as painful as this is, the uncertainties and the pain that comes with these phases of life changes really probably sometimes are God's wake up call in
Yeah.
saying that, look, we are not contributing to the graveyard continue to be one of the richest places on earth. I am not allowing the stars and my offspring and people that I know have so much untapped potential to to live a life that's just mediocre, you
Yeah.
know. um and relationships are probably one of those factors created by God. Marriage in itself is the biggest institution in the world.
Mm-hmm.
um and relationships, which is what that represents, they're probably also the one that is also probably the biggest factor that shapes our destinies.
Yeah.
We have seen people destroy themselves due to unfulfilled relationships. We have
Yeah.
seen people completely ignore their dreams because they feel like they first need to fulfill the dreams of someone else, forgetting
Yes.
themselves. But to what extent can we really help somebody fulfill their dreams if you don't even know how to fulfill our own, if you don't even really
Yeah.
know what is my mission and my purpose in life?
Yeah.
So I absolutely love what you said. And also just hearing the response of your kids and your loved ones, that they feel the love, they feel the glow, and really what starts within transpires outside, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Um, and
And
also, one of the amazing opportunities that comes with this is really just exploring new interests, right?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Exploring new interests is probably one of the most exciting parts of self discovery. Just
Yeah.
trying new activities, trying new hobbies that we've always been curious about is really incredibly enriching.
It really is. And as we go through the the time of discovery, I think it's so important for us to acknowledge the small milestones,
Yeah.
because this healing is it's a journey, you know.
Mhm.
And we were talking,
Yeah.
hey, it's not a overnight thing.
Yeah.
It is a process.
Yeah.
So for us to just acknowledge those small victories that we have along the way, it'll just keep us encouraged to keep moving forward, um,
Yeah.
and keep growing and keep evolving, and keep exploring, keep being curious,
Really.
because we never know what those moments going to lead to. We never know
Exactly.
what those moments are going to lead. I was thinking about even the Teach Me tribe, me starting the Teach Me tribe, and how it was something that came out of my love for mental health
Yeah.
and me wanting to understand, what is it that men go through, and how and being in those rooms and hearing them and like, this is something that women need to hear. And so being able to to establish that Teach Me tribe, I really
Mhm.
believe it was something that God gave me as it has evolved.
Yeah.
But it was just, I think, that act of obedience as well. So even though it came from a place of trauma, a
Mhm.
place of pain from, my divorce,
Yeah.
me discovering and actually knowing, okay, what is it that I need to do?
Mhm.
you know so I'm just excited about what God has in store, because we eyes have not seen, ears have not heard what God has in store for us.
Yeah.
And I just love that we're having this conversation, because my mind has been going. I really wish I was taking notes, because my mind has been going, and I know it's just the Holy Spirit talking to me about some things that He wants us to do, even in a future
Yeah.
um, um, live that we do together. Because I
Yeah.
know this is not the end for us.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have so much we have to talk about and really dig into, as it relates to this topic, and as it relates to what is it that we can do to help people transition,
Yeah.
from even the small everyday things that they deal with, because we were even talking about abstinence or no abstinence
Yeah.
after divorce.
Yeah.
What is it that we do with those emotions? What is it that we do with our bodies?
Yeah.
it, it just stopped. I mean, so what is it, and as Christians, what do we do?
That
So
I absolutely love that. That I, it's not in vain that I believe God commands us to wait until marriage
mhm,
before we explore physical intimacy.
mhm,
Um, because this is really the energies that are exchanged. As much as we're physical beings, so the immediate feeling that we will feel is a physical.
mhm,
But that depth of emotion, that depth of connection that comes after intimacy, these are our results and the outcomes of the manifestations that happen spiritually.
mhm,
And I think we often are very ignorant about that. And hence, looking at society today, many of us can delve into that, really just thinking these are just old myths.
mhm,
But if we look at the outcome of unfulfilled relationships, how it really shifts somebody's mindset, and really just understanding that by merging intimately with somebody else, we are essentially we're essentially connecting with a world that we do not know. And that
mhm,
world includes the world of the people that they've probably been involved with, includes the
mhm,
world of their whole and entire lineage. And hence, sometimes I've even seen people come out just depressed out of nowhere, and out of nowhere, they're anxious, but without really associating that to some of the choices that we can make intimately. And so, this
mhm,
is why abstaining is also such a critical part in this self discovery, because it is a time that we need really all the energy that is in us to be fully intact.
mm,
And the energy that really comes with intimacy is so big. It's probably one of the biggest energy releases
that's
that
true.
human beings can explore. So what then is the energy that we're putting back in?
That's
We're
true.
putting back in the energy of somebody that we don't know to the full
Mhm,
extent. Um, and so it's an aspect that we shouldn't take lightly. The celibacy, it's really a part, that a time that we should connect with God intimately and really try to understand what this means to us, what this means to our body, to our intactness, and even to our
mhm,
well-being. But it's
mhm,
not something that we often talk about, which I think that we have to delve deeper into that. But it
mhm,
is definitely an aspect that completely shifts somebody's path, that can
Yeah.
completely affect somebody's destiny. And so in finding oneself again,
Mm-hmm.
in reconnecting with our values, with our passions, or even reinventing ourselves if we don't go back to those same values and passions that we knew before, but we are just embracing evolving. Abstaining becomes one of the critical parts in order to maintain as clear, in order to really honor the sanctuary, because at the end of the day we are God's vessel. It is in our body that God resides. um yeah, so I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. And I couldn't highlight enough how abstinence and celibacy is such a critical part in the self-discovery journey.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I was thinking, it's almost like a reset, especially after the divorce.
Yeah.
It's almost like you have to reset not only your mind and your soul, your emotions, but your body has to be reset too, you know,
Exactly.
in order for us to fully emerge ourselves into what God has for us,
Mhm.
and to know, okay, what identity do I need to take on? And without having that space and time to really self-evaluate, self-reflect, to be self-aware of what's going on. I mean, you can't do that when you're involved with someone, especially sexually, because
Yes.
it becomes more of a distraction.
Yeah.
Because just like you said, it's energy that's being taken away and being poured into you.
Yeah.
So you have
Yeah.
to be able to control that,
Yes.
um, during that time. And I think it is. I mean, it's not just divorce; it's any type of transition
Exactly.
in
Yeah.
life where you
Yes.
really have to just have a clear head to
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, I
Yeah.
really need to ground myself,
Exactly.
and reset my mind, body, and soul for a
A hundred.
certain period of time. And you determine that time frame. You'll know when the time is right to move on. But we're gonna have to definitely touch more on this abstinence thing,
A
because
hundred
it's so much here. It's so much meat
percent.
here. Sex or no sex.
I absolutely love it. And I definitely think we should make this just an exclusive conversation.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a conversation before the live.
100%. 100%. But in itself, it needs to be just an exclusive and a conversation just on its own. There's so
Yeah.
much to unpack in there. Um, but yeah, the power of celibacy and just abstaining really can't be stressed enough.
Yes, yes. Well, I mean, so everybody, we're gonna be back for a part two. We're gonna be talking about sex or no sex. Okay.
100%.
As it relates to after divorce, doing our self-discovery time. But I have truly enjoyed you today. This has been a wonderful discussion, a wonderful time. I can't wait to look back on the replay to really I should say, hear again some of the gems that you shared today. It's just been my honor just to be here with you. And I tell
And
our audience as well, if you're looking at it on the replay or even now, let us know what it is that you got out of it. Hashtag replay, and let us know what you got out of it, and and how much you anticipate our next time together, as we continue to dive into this area.
absolutely love it. It was my absolute pleasure to talk to you and to also unpack some of the things that we had started talking about, but I think we unpacked a bit further here. And
Mhm.
I really look forward to our next discussion. And but also more than anything is I really look forward to even seeing your journey, and the continuation of your own self discovery journey. I truly believe and I see God's light in you. And I really look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing what that has in store, what God has in store for you in its entirety. And to anybody else who might be watching as well, I just really wish that you take the courage to disrupt yourself. You take the courage to listen to your true self. That is your inner child, your adult self, and walk in alignment, because that is who you are. That is a wholeness of you. And rebel against anything that you know is not your identity. Rebel against anything that you know is not going to mark your unique star on earth. As much as we can have years to live, but life is urgent and time is urgent. And I don't know if anybody has felt this, but time seems to really be passing by quite quickly. And
Yes.
what this really reminds me of is when they say that for God, 1,000 years for us is really just a snap of a finger to God, right?
Hmm.
So I don't think we should ignore this. I think this time that we're living today, especially post COVID, is really a reminder for us to reconnect with ourselves. Is really just God telling us, "I want you to know the power that is instilled within you. I want you to step away from anything that you know does not serve your highest good." I mean, there's so much to talk about there, but
Yes.
I really just encourage anybody listening to live authentically. And I think this is when we really, really walk in alignment with our purpose and our mission. With that being
Yeah.
said, thank you. Thank you so, so much. Uh,
Amen. Amen.
of this.
I do too. I tell you, we can go on and on. I mean, it's so much. It's so much to talk about. I mean, because
Absolutely.
I didn't dig into the co-parenting aspect
Yeah.
of all of this. So we'll definitely have to dig into that too. But I believe everything that has been said um, can apply to co-parents as well. Because if we're not the best versions of ourselves,
Yeah.
we can't be the best for our children. And just like I said earlier, and how we are models for them,
Exactly.
they are looking at us to overcome, looking at us to grow through the challenges of life in general, not just divorce, but just the challenges of life, and how we handle emotions, how we handle hard times is how they will learn from us. So, um, so until next time, I almost don't want to go, but I do have to get to work. So,
Right, indeed.
but I thank you again. I really do, sis, and I thank you, audience, as well, for joining us. And until next time,
Until next
we'll
time. Thank you so much.
thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.